The Unthinkable Upset, Chelsea's humiliating defeat by PSG. In the world of football, moments of glory often come hand in hand with moments of despair. For fans of Chelsea Football Club, the night of March 11, 2026, stands as a stark reminder of this reality. On that fateful evening in France, the Blues faced Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Champions League round of 16, and what transpired on the pitch was nothing short of a nightmare. A stunning 5-2 defeat left supporters and analysts alike in disbelief, wondering how a team of Chelsea's stature could suffer such a humiliating loss. Setting the scene, expectations and build-up. The build-up to the match was buzzed with anticipation. Chelsea, managed by resenoir, had recently returned to form and were seen as serious contenders for the UEFA Champions League trophy. Their defensive solidity and pragmatic style of play had brought them success, and they were expected to put up a strong fight against the Parisians. PSG, meanwhile, were on a trajectory of their own following significant investments in world-class talent. Boasting stars like Dembélé, the French giants were eager to prove their mettle on the European stage. Fans of both teams believed they were in for a treat. However, no one could have predicted the outcome that unfolded. A night to forget. The match. The match kicked off under the bright lights of the Parc des Princes, with an electric atmosphere permeating the stadium. Chelsea's tactical plan revolved around a solid defensive structure, aiming to stifle PSG's attacking threats while seeking opportunities on the counterattack. First half, false hope and dismay. As the first half progressed, Chelsea found themselves uncomfortable in their defensive third. PSG's attacking intent was palpable, and the Blues struggled to contain the dynamic interplay between their forwards. The first blow came when PSG opened the scoring with a magnificent strike from outside the box, curling the ball into the top corner. Chelsea's fans were stunned, and disbelief washed over the away end. Yet, resilience was a hallmark of Resenoir's teams, and moments later, Chelsea managed to equalize for Chelsea, keeping the dreams of a turnaround alive. But as quickly as hope surged, it was dashed again, when a defensive error allowed PSG to regain the lead just before halftime. The score stood at 2-1, leaving Chelsea at a significant disadvantage as they headed into the break. Second half. The floodgates open. The second half began with Chelsea needing to find an equalizer to stay in the tie, but it quickly became evident that the team was spiraling. PSG unleashed a flurry of attacks, and calamity struck for Chelsea when another defensive lapse led to PSG to scoring the third goal. The stadium erupted in raucous celebration, and for Chelsea, it was a deeply disheartening turn of events. The frustration among Chelsea players grew visible as they faltered under the pressure. Their defensive organization began to crumble, leaving gaps that PSG exploited ruthlessly. PSG added a fourth goal, showcasing their phenomenal skill and edge. As if this wasn't enough, late in the game, a miscommunication led to another goal, further compounding the scoreline to an incredulous 5-2. The tidal wave of reactions. As the final whistle blew, the weight of defeat crashed down upon Chelsea supporters. It was a scoreline that not only signified a loss in that crucial tie, but also encapsulated the feeling of utter humiliation. The press and fans reacted swiftly, with many eager to dissect the points of failure. Analyst perspectives. Football analysts were quick to weigh in. Many pointed to Chelsea's defensive frailties and the inability to cope with PSG's attacking prowess. Critics argued that Resenoir's tactics, which had once yielded success, were no longer adequate against the high-paced style of modern football that PSG embodied. Further, they highlighted individual performances, with several Chelsea players falling short of expectations. It became clear that the match represented not just a singular defeat, but a larger narrative surrounding Chelsea's trajectory that season. Fan outcry and mixed emotions. Social media erupted with reactions in the aftermath. Chelsea supporters faced the brunt of mockery from rival fans, especially those who held PSG in high regard. Memes depicting the scoreline circled the internet, while hashtags like CFC and PSG trended. Amidst the embarrassment, a sense of disbelief lingered among Chelsea fans, many of whom felt that such a scoreline was far below the standards they had come to expect. Lessons learned, reflecting on the aftermath. As the dust settled, the defeat served as a moment of reflection for both clubs. Chelsea's ownership and management had to consider where things had gone wrong. Significant decisions were made in the following months, shaping the club's future direction. For Chelsea, a call for change. In the long term, this defeat prompted Chelsea to rethink their approach in the Champions League.
The emphasis on defensive solidity had worked in the past, but modern football demanded an adaptive strategy. The lessons learned from this match influenced recruitment strategies, training philosophies, and even managerial choices. For PSG, a stepping stone. For PSG, the win was a significant milestone. It exemplified their rise in European football and showcased their potential as formidable opponents. The victory galvanized their squad, sending a message to other clubs that the investments in star players were yielding results. They had laid down a marker and made a statement that they were no longer a club under the shadow of giants. They were ready to make their mark. A crucial of growth and transformation. In the annals of football history, the 5-2 defeat of Chelsea by PSG will remain a poignant example of how quickly fortunes can change on the pitch. This match was not simply a brutal loss, it was a catalyst for transformation. For Chelsea, it was a moment of reckoning that urged them to evolve, adapt, and renew their strategies. For PSG, it was a declaration of intent and evidence that their project was beginning to bear fruit. Ultimately, this match encapsulates the unpredictable nature of sports. In a single night, legends can emerge and heroes can fall. The beautiful game is rife with such narratives, and the defeat against PSG serves as a reminder that resilience and adaptation are crucial components in the relentless pursuit of glory. As football continues to evolve, let us remember these moments not just for the scores etched in history, but for the lessons they impart and the rivalries they ignite. The world of football thrives on both triumph and tragedy, and
Chelsea's humbling 5-2 defeat against PSG, a wake-up call? In a match that many anticipated as a gripping clash of titans, Chelsea faced an unexpected and humiliating defeat against Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, in the first leg of their UEFA Champions League clash. With the final score reading 5-2, the match left pundits and sports journalists buzzing with astonishment and a multitude of opinions regarding the implications for both clubs and the players involved. The build-up to the match. The fixture between Chelsea and PSG was highly anticipated, especially given the rich history of competitive encounters between these two European powerhouses. Chelsea, known for their strong defensive unit and disciplined gameplay, seemed poised to capitalize on their home advantage. Meanwhile, PSG, replete with world-class talent, including players like Dembele, eager to assert their dominance on the European stage. In the weeks leading up to the match, both clubs had been in fine form. Chelsea had displayed resilience in their domestic league, and PSG was on a roll, showcasing their attacking prowess. The media was abuzz with expectations, dissecting tactics, player form, and the psychological aspects of such a significant battle. The match unraveled. As the match kicked off, it quickly became apparent that this would not be a walk in the park for Chelsea. PSG struck first, initiating their assault with an early goal that set the tone for the night. A defensive lapse by Chelsea allowed PSG to exploit the gap and find the back of the net, sending shockwaves through stadium. From that point onward, the home team seized the initiative. Chelsea's backline, once viewed as one of the strongest in Europe, crumbled under pressure. The visiting side struggled to regain composure as PSG relentlessly attacked, adding goal after goal to their tally. Each time Chelsea appeared to mount a comeback, PSG would counter with their own strike, puncturing any hopes of a revival. Analyzing Chelsea's weakness. The defeat marked a significant moment in Chelsea's recent history, particularly as it was the first time in 2 years that they had conceded 5 goals in a single match. This statistic drew the ire of pundits, who highlighted various deficiencies in the team's performance. Chelsea's defensive organization was called into question, with many analysts pointing to the lack of communication among defenders and the failure to track runs made by PSG's forwards. Furthermore, the midfield's inability to control the tempo and direct play also stood out. Chelsea's usually adept midfielders were outclassed by their PSG counterparts, who dictated the pace of the game. The lack of creativity and decisiveness in the attacking third added to the woes of the Chelsea supporters, who left stadium feeling disheartened. Pundit reactions. Following the match, pundits and sports journalists took to their platforms to dissect the events of the night. The consensus among many was that this defeat could have long-lasting repercussions for Chelsea squad morale and their campaign in the Champions League. The repercussions of poor performances. Notable pundits expressed concern over the implications of this humiliation on Chelsea's future matches. Comments such as, "This is more than just a defeat, it's an identity crisis for Chelsea," reverberated throughout social media and sports news outlets. Critics suggested that the players needed to engage in self-reflection, questioning their commitment and tactical awareness. The manager's role. The role of Chelsea's manager also came under scrutiny. Questions were raised about tactical choices and whether he had properly prepared his players for the challenge that PSG presented. Journalists debated the effectiveness of his formations and substitutions during the crucial moments of the match, emphasizing the need for adaptive strategies against such a formidable opponent.
PSG's standout performers. While Chelsea's defeat was a sore point for their supporters, it provided the perfect opportunity for PSG's players to shine. Dembele, in particular, was lauded for his exceptional performance. His pace, skill, and ability to exploit defensive gaps were on full display, drawing comparisons to some of the sport's greatest forwards. Deweese also made headlines with his creativity and vision on the field. The synergy between PSG's attacking players showcased an extraordinary level of understanding and collaboration, prompting discussions about their potential to go all the way in the tournament. Looking ahead, the defeat raised questions about Chelsea's ability to bounce back. The footballing community kept a close eye on their next matches, both in their domestic league and the second leg against PSG. Would this result serve as a catalyst for change, forcing the players to dig deep and find their competitive edge? Alternatively, could it lead to further disarray within the squad? Tactical adjustments. In the aftermath of the match, tactical adjustments became a hot topic. Experts speculated about the potential changes in formations, player selections, and even training regimens that could occur as a result of this humbling experience. Could shifting to a more robust defensive strategy be the answer, or would a more aggressive attacking style yield better results? With a season filled with high-stakes matches ahead, the upcoming decisions would be critical. The psychological impact. Sports psychologists chimed in, expressing the necessity of mental fortitude in overcoming such a setback. The players would need support systems in place to help them process the defeat and rebuild their confidence as they approach the remaining fixtures. In summary, Chelsea's 5-2 defeat against PSG was a moment that will be analyzed and discussed for years to come. The humbling nature of the loss brought to light pressing concerns related to team performance, tactical planning, and mental resilience. As pundits dissect the match, the narrative surrounding Chelsea will likely evolve, impacting their trajectory in the Champions League and beyond. For Chelsea, it's a moment of reckoning. They must now rally together, learn from this setback, and emerge stronger. The footballing world will be watching to see if they can turn this humiliation into a learning opportunity, aiming to reclaim their status as one of Europe's elite clubs.